Hey everybody, what's going on? It is James here, and in this video, I want to break away from my normal technical analysis and market talk. I want to talk a little bit about finances, and I want to talk about thinking for yourself and not following the herd and not listening to the things that you're told and not buying into the lies that are sold to you. So this applies pretty much all aspects of life, especially in trading and markets. But the one I'm going to use to kind of expose this today is taxes. If you're outside the United States, this is probably going to be even more shocking to you because the United States gets really bad play worldwide about our tax system and about how unfair life is because of capitalism and how the 1%, you've got eat the rich. So a lot of my friends who live outside the US, and I've been fortunate to make friends all over the globe because of what I do is so global in nature. But a lot of my friends are shocked to learn the truth about the United States and the way the tax system works. And a lot of my friends in the United States who are on the lower income level, they're often shocked when I break this down for them as well, because a lot of people just naturally believe what they're told. And what we're told over and over by the media is that the rich don't pay their fair share of taxes, and that it's the poor people who are, suffering the burden in this country. I see this all the time I will see people on social media, especially young people, who complain about not being able to go to college because, they can't afford student loans and things like that. But most people don't realize that lower income people typically qualify for grants and can actually go to college for free. So this myth that if you're poor, you can't go to college is complete and utter nonsense. But we'll stay away from that. In this video, we'll just focus on the tax aspect. So I'm about to shock you and blow your mind. Every year, I touched on this a little bit in my last video. Every year when I sold cars, and I quit selling cars in 2007, but every year when I sold cars around tax time, I would see people come in. Of course, I knew how much money they made because they'd fill out financial paperwork to apply for loans. A lot of times these people would make, maybe $1,500 to $2,000, $2,500 a month. So, under $30,000 a year. They would get these massive, massive tax refund checks, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 refund checks. And I always thought to myself, how does that even make sense? I know they're not paying in. If you think about what a tax refund is, it's supposed to be a refund. You've paid in too much and the government needs to give you some of that back. It's a refund. But it really shouldn't be called a tax refund because in the case of poor people, most often they pay zero taxes and they actually get handouts from the government. And this is not meant to be demeaning toward anyone. Right or wrong is not what the video is about. I'm just trying to point out the reality that this idea in the United States that poor people pay all the taxes is grossly inaccurate. So in this video, we're going to take the case of my family, right? And we can look at a few different examples, but let's look at my family. I'm married, all right? I have one child living at home. I'll file jointly with my spouse in this example. We'll go ahead and use my real age here, and I'll use my wife's real age, even though she may not like it. And can someone claim me as a dependent? Of course not. All right, right now you can see I'm already getting a refund here. Let's fix that. Okay, so how much did I make from a job in 2022? Well, I didn't have a job in 2022, but we're going to assume in this example that I'm working a minimum wage job. Let's just do minimum wage. So a minimum wage here is $11.15 an hour times 40 hours times 52 weeks. So let's say that I made $23,192. Okay. Let's go ahead and go down. Let's see. How much was withheld? Let's say that my employer held nothing out. So I've paid zero taxes. All right. How many dependents? Well, I have one dependent at home. She is under the age of 17. And of course, let's see, number of dependents under 13 who need childcare, none. All right, so we'll just keep going here. Let's say that I had no other income. Let's say that I just had that minimum wage job. Education, none, no expenses. Let's say that I didn't own a home. You get additional tax credits if you do. And let's say that I made no donations. I didn't put anything toward retirement. I had no other deductions, no self-employment, no other tax payments. So at this point, I've paid zero in taxes. My employer has held nothing out. Right? The only thing that would be coming out of this person's paycheck would be what's called FICA. And if you're in the U.S., you know what that is. If you're not, you may not. It's about 7.5% last I checked. right? So they would be paying in roughly 7.5% to FICA, which is like Social Security, Medicare, etc. So $1,700 a year coming out for that. Oh, but look at this. Even though they only paid $1,700 in, this person would get a tax refund of $5,700, which means that not only do they not pay any taxes whatsoever, they actually get money from the government just for being alive and working. Now, this is not what you're told in the media. You're told that the poor people pay all the taxes. But let's take this a step further. Not only in my situation, if this was real, if I was really working a minimum wage job, not only would I not be paying any taxes, I would also qualify for food stamps. I would get several $100s a month in food stamps from the government that I could use to buy food for my family. Family of 3 with this type of income, off the top of my head, I did some rough numbers. I probably get somewhere around $300 to $400 a month, maybe a little more, but we're going to go low end, say $300 to $400 a month in food stamps. Very likely I would also qualify for what's called HUD, which is basically they help you afford a home, right? You get either lower rent or they actually, pay for part of your rent. So, and yes, in some cases you can even use HUD to buy homes. So I would be getting housing help. I would be getting help with my food bill. I would be getting, there's a grant system here in this state where you can get up to, I believe it's $1,600 a year for utility assistance to pay for your utility bills. I would be getting free college. If I wanted to go to college, I would qualify for grants to go to college for free. My daughter would qualify for grants to go to college for free, so on and so forth. But if you talk to most people, they think this is nonsense. They think that poor people pay all the taxes. They think that rich people don't pay any taxes. They think that poor people can't afford to go to school and they're being held down. Someone's standing on their neck, so to speak. And it's just not the case. Let me change this, and I'm not going to get too detailed with it, but let me just change this to something a little more realistic and show you how drastically things get when you start changing this around. Let's say that I don't have a job at all, which I don't. And let's say that my source of income is self-employment. Okay. Let's go down, other income. We'll leave everything the same, right? Look at this. I'm getting $2,000. I'm not even working. How crazy is that? All right. Let's just look at why isn't there a business? Well, that's fine. We'll use short-term gains and losses. Let's say that I make $250,000 a year trading. All short-term gains. Hey, look at that. Suddenly the government's not going to give me anything. I'm not getting anything back from the government. I'm not going to college for free. I'm not going to get, I forgot the big one. Free medical care, right? If I was working minimum wage with a family of 3, I'd be getting free medical care through the government health insurance. Don't get that, making $250,000 plus a year, right? Suddenly, instead of getting a handout from the government, I'd be paying in almost $40,000 in taxes, federal taxes, right? I mean, this is the reality. Rich people pay the majority of taxes in the United States, right? This whole idea that rich people get away without paying taxes is ridiculous. Rich people pay most of the taxes in this country. I just saw a video on Facebook, literally today, and they're talking about how people making less than $50,000 a year on average only paying about 4% of their income to taxes. Whereas rich people, those classified as making more than the top 1% basically, pay on average 27% of their income in taxes. Nearly 7 times what average people pay. So, and this gets crazier the bigger these numbers, and this is trading. Right? This isn't even self-employment. Self-employment's even more bullshit. Let me show you. Somewhere in here, they've got to have a box for me to put in self-employment. There we go. All right, you ready? Let's say that I make $250,000 a year self-employment. Remember, it was $39,000 if I was making that through trading. But self-employment, it's almost $52,000. Yes, that's correct. If you're wondering, especially if you're outside the U.S. going, wait a minute, what? You made the same amount of money. Yeah, but see, they nail you when you're self-employed. Here in the United States, we have what's called self-employment tax. and it's an additional 15% tax on top of everything else. So when you're self-employed, you pay more taxes than anybody else. So this whole idea that capitalism is unfair and the people at the top don't pay taxes, it's the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. It's one of the reasons that I first was really turned on by trading, because I was self-employed and I was paying these ridiculously high taxes. And I realized with trading, wow, even if I make a little bit less money trading, I'm actually going to come out ahead because I won't have near as many taxes. And as it turned out, of course, you fast forward, I've been trading now, I'm in my 6th year. I have my trading income, and I also have my software side, which is related to trading, and my training side, which is related to trading. So I have both types of income, and they're both taxed differently. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to do this video for anybody out there who's being told that they're a victim, or being told that you're being held down, or that life is unfair, eat the rich, all this dumb, ideology. Reality is, poor people in this country have massive opportunities. Rightfully so. I do believe that they should get help. I do believe that they should have opportunities to raise themselves up out of poverty. And before anybody thinks that I'm on a soapbox and judging other people, let me just say this. 20 years ago, I was on food stamps. I benefited from these programs that were designed to help poor people get out of poverty. I did benefit, and I did use them to my advantage, and I did raise myself out of poverty. So I'm not looking down on anybody. I'm saying you have to understand it's there, because a lot of the people that complain on social media, they legitimately believe they're a victim. They believe that they're having to pay more taxes than other people. They believe that they can't go to college. They believe all these things, when in reality, they have access to free school. They have access to free medical care. They have access to, a lot of times free utilities, reduced rent, so on and so forth. And if you know those programs are out there, then you can take steps to apply for those programs, and you can help lift you and your family out of your bad situation. If you don't know they're out there, if you believe what you're being told, then you're destined to stay that way. And that's just not cool, right? Take advantage of it. It's there for you. It's there to help you. If you know somebody who's struggling, or if you know somebody that loves to get on social media and portray these myths, especially if they believe them themselves, be sure and show them this video. All right. So again, this video is not specifically about trading. It is about finances. And more importantly, it's about not believing the myths that you're told, because the media will lie to you about all sorts of things, this being one of them, right? Because they have an objective they're trying to push. And trading is the same way. While this is more of a political conversation in many ways, with one side pushing this idea more than the other, it's the same thing with trading and cryptocurrencies and the stock market and everything else. You have talking heads who always have an alternative motive, and they're trying to get you to do some certain action that they want you to do, and they're not looking out for you. They do not have your best interest at heart. Very rarely are those people really in your corner. So do your due diligence and look at the numbers. Don't listen to what people say. Go do the numbers yourself, and you will find that oftentimes things aren't what they seem.